Me and the guys decided to start a new Rimworld together, and after some careful preparation, we found ourselves on our new home planet. Sure, it's a touch cold, and I'm a little concerned about the T-Rex wandering around, but it's pretty nice aside from that. Just look at that river. Majestic. We decided earlier that we need to be responsible for a family of 4, while still contributing to the prosperity of the colony. Basically, we've all got our own people, but let's not be dicks about it. Now, it'd take far too long to introduce every colonist individually, so here's an overview of our families. First, there's the Metal family, so named because of their love of heavy metal, both the music and the 1981 animated film. They consist of husband and wife combo McIntyre and Henriette, their daughter Samantha and son Viper. Other interests include tailoring and anything to do with food. They are under the watchful eye of my friend Smoke and Baby. Next up is the Rowland family. They're comprised of married couple Mila and Jason and their 2 sons Alec and Cohen. They spend most of their time building things, crafting things, and shooting other things, sometimes all at once. They are the responsibility of my friend Badluck. Last but not least is the Oxbridge family, which is made up of Kim, her husband Squint, and their 2 children, Stephen and Haruka. The Oxbridges like to spend their time healing the sick, researching new technologies, and taking care of the colony's animals, which at present are a couple of huskies and some fluffy cattle known as Muffalo. The Oxbridges are being controlled by me, so you'll probably see a bit more of them than the others. We also start with a few modern amenities, such as sleeping bags and parkas, because everyone getting frostbite on the first day would be kind of a bummer. We did, however, veto Smoke and Baby's request to start with hundreds of apples, even though he spent a good half hour trying to convince us otherwise. I don't know what to tell you, this guy just fucking loves apples. Anyway, we lay out a general outline for the compound and get to work on planning and building our Great Hall, which gets finished around early evening. It's got no floor, but it's got walls and a little fire, so it's already nicer than my house when I was a student. The next day, we get started on the freezer and kitchen areas, because food is quite important. Smoke and Baby takes the opportunity to once again voice his displeasure at our lack of apples. Jesus Christ man, let it go. We finish off the day by building some latrines, as people are starting to get unhappy pooping outdoors in a freezing cold dinosaur-infested wilderness. Which I don't understand personally, but I guess some people are just fussy. After they're built, we start to plan our respective family houses. I begin with a design of fairly modest size, while the others are making slightly larger rooms. When I notice this, I raise everything I've done so far and start again. Clearly I'm not emotionally secure enough to have a slightly smaller virtual house to my close personal friends. Speaking of emotional fragility, Haruka is getting agitated that she's awake during the daytime, as she's something of a night owl. I'm dealing with that when Badluck tells us to come and look at a ruin in the top left corner of the map. We go to see if he's found anything cool or useful, but it turns out he just got excited because he found some ruins that look like balls. And yeah, I can kind of see what he means, but it probably wouldn't be my first thought. I say the ruins are kind of a Rorschach test, but this isn't even the first game he's done this in. All of this construction work and testicular architecture has distracted us from producing any food. People are starting to get a bit miffed. Alec has a bit of a breakdown and decides to hide in his room, but since his room is currently in the Great Hall, I think he might just be work shy. To solve this food shortage, I get Stephen to arm up and go hunting, but his shooting proves to be less than spectacular. And the only thing he manages to kill is my faith in him, eventually going home empty-handed. This is all too much for some of the colonists, as McIntyre joins Alec in hiding in the Great Hall, and Squint has a tantrum, eventually having to be subdued by Viper and Samantha. We finally get some meals sorted and things start to calm down a little bit, so I take the opportunity to go and make some food in real life. And I'm back. Oh shit, Cohen's being hunted? Oh no, that's been dealt with, he's fine. Oh shit, Haruka's being hunted now? Well, that's not the worst thing, she's right next to the base, so even if she gets downed, we should be able to... Oh, what? Hold on, she seemed to die pretty instantly there. Let's take a look at the action replay. Son of a bitch. You little fucking psycho. No, I'm not saying that Alec did this deliberately, or that he's some kind of maniac who gets off on hurting others.
But I'm certainly thinking it loudly.
But no, these things happen in Rimworld. It's a pretty savage game, and watching the footage back, there wasn't a lot more any of us could have done. I actually take the whole thing really well, and manage to stay dignified despite my disappointment. Just kidding, I get really salty and whine about it constantly for about an hour. In the aftermath of this, Stephen throws a wobbly and tries to kick the shit out of a revolver before being arrested by Henriette. I think he's just acting out and misplacing the blame for Haruka's death. Anyway, he gets quickly released by his mum, whilst Alec of all people buries Haruka, presumably whilst doing a little dance. The food situation has gotten bad again, and we keep having to stop people from just eating handfuls of raw meat. Smoking Baby says that we should have started with a load of apples, which is actually a pretty great idea, if only he'd mentioned something earlier. Some visitors arrive with goods to sell. Maybe they've got food. Nope, they're drug dealers, they only sell drugs. We buy some fancy medicine and leave them to hang around in Smoking Baby's semi-built house. Not long later, Stephen and Cohen are walking along, having a nice conversation about food, when Cohen loudly insults Stephen's mother. This sends Stephen into a berserk rage and he attacks the nearest person, which is unfortunately one of the visiting drug dealers. This doesn't go Stephen's way, and he ends up on the floor bruised and bullet-ridden. Cohen is still lingering around, so scoops him up and takes him to get medical attention. It is a little suspicious that both children from the Rowland family have been involved in separate shooting incidents involving the Oxbridge children, all within the space of a few days. I'm choosing to give them the benefit of the doubt for the moment, but I'll be keeping my eye on them, especially Alec. That guy creeps me out. Anyway, Stephen gets patched up by Kim, who, by the way, is the only Oxbridge to keep it together so far. I mean, her daughter died, her son's been mostly useless, even before getting shot by drug dealers, and Squint's just been throwing tantrums and starting fights. All the while, Kim's just been quietly getting on with things, patching people up, cleaning dirt off the dirt, never complaining for a minute. She's a true hero, in the least exciting sense of the word. Early next morning, Alec finishes off Smoking Baby's house, so it's Bad Luck's turn to give his family somewhere to sleep. You'll notice how his house is more angular and interesting looking than the others. This is a good example of the different things we each bring to the group. Bad Luck tends to value aesthetic over function. I'll almost always go the other way and push for practicality over visuals, and Smoking Baby keeps us fed and puts up with our shit, which is the most important role of all. It's an interesting trichotomy that works really well for us when we finally finish bickering and get to work on something. I'm monitoring the T-Rex situation when a pack of Yorkshire Terriers appear and decide that we're the new owners. After a bit of discussion, we take a vote on whether we should keep them or eat them. I vote to eat them because we'll end up starving if we have to feed 8 more dogs, so it's very much us versus them. Smoking Baby also votes to kill them, which is surprising because he's usually all about the animals in this game. Bad Luck votes to keep them, which isn't surprising as he'll take any opportunity to wind up Smoking Baby, so we'll naturally vote against him. Either way, it's 2-1, so it'll probably take a while for our colonists to get around to harvesting all our delicious dog meat, so a small party is tasked with hunting a nearby muffalo. Henriette tempts fate by standing near something Alec is shooting at. Maybe it's for the thrill, or maybe she has a death wish, I don't know, but she gets away without catching a bullet. Look at Jason there, hunting with a light machine gun, what a maniac. Can't say it's not effective though. That evening, some more visitors show up, but we're disappointed to find out it's just more drug dealers, and they still only sell drugs, which we're just not in the market for right now. They hang around anyway, and are still there when another lynx goes for one of our guys, giving me traumatic flashbacks. The vicious little bastard even manages to get over the bridge, but Cohen, Alec and Henriette are more than equal to it. Even one of the drug dealers gets involved, launching a Molotov cocktail, which, although not useful, is pretty cool. Alec then puts the lynx out of its misery, which I'm sure he thoroughly enjoyed. The terriers are finally getting slaughtered, but no one's taking them to the freezer, leading to some animal-based cannibalism, proving that it's very literally a dog-eat-dog world. I'm sure it's fine though, no harm ever came from feeding animals to their own species, right? Bad Luck's house is nearly done, so I take the opportunity to build some beds. This raises some questions about the appropriate use of wood at this time, but I feel justified in my decision since my colonists are all constantly on the verge of having a mental break, and having some nice comfy beds might just keep them sane. This leads into a discussion on what to build next. Our options are either walls for the compound, to keep us safe, or floors for our houses, to look nice and give everyone a slight mood boost. Bad Luck votes for floors, I vote for walls, and Smoking Baby abstains, leaving us at an impasse. This is then immediately broken as I see Bad Luck lay down his floor plans, and refusing to be outdone, I follow suit. This proves both that our democracy is very fragile, and that it's very easy to leverage my pettiness against me. Good job I've tactically achieved nothing with my life, or I could make a very corrupt politician. Anyway, I'm not too against this whole floor business if it'll stop my family from freaking out and trashing the place. And it does make the houses more pleasing to the eye, so let's see how it goes. The next day, Stephen freaks out, has a tantrum and tries to trash the place. He's arrested by his dad, who lets him out of prison almost immediately, so at least the system works. This about brings us to the end of our first Rimworld session. R.I.P. Haruka, we hardly knew you, but your death certainly made things tricky. You'll be remembered by your family for about 20 days, then the moods will hopefully stabilize and we'll all move on with our lives. Thanks again to my friends Bad Luck and Smoking Baby for being cool with me recording. And thank you for watching. See you next time.